Hello everyone. Today's my lecture is on taste sensation and that is a part of special. And I am discussing the topics about taste bud, pathway for the taste sensation, primary taste sensation and discrimination of the different taste sensation, then taste transduction. And lastly, I am discussing about the abnormalities of the taste sensation or applied physiology of taste sensation. Now introduction. So awareness of our internal and external world is brought about by the neural mechanism and that process afferent information. The initial step of this processing is the transformation of the stimulus energy first into graded potential and that is receptor potential and then into axon potential in the nerve fiber. The pattern of the axon potential in the particular nerve fiber is a code that provides information about the world. Now sensory system, that is a part of nervous system and that consists of sensory receptor and that receive the stimuli from the external or internal environment and the neural pathway that conduct the information from the receptors to the brain and those parts of the brain that deal primarily with the processing the information. Now information preceded by sensory system may or may not lead to conscious awareness of the stimulus. Now if the information that reaches the consciousness, it is known as sensory information. But if the information does not reach the consciousness, it is known as sensation. So person's understanding of the sensation meaning is called perception. For example, feeling pain, that is a sensation, but my awareness that my tooth hurts, that is perception. So what is sensation and what is perception? Now the brain receives the information outside the body surface through 5 sense organs: nose, tongue, eye, ear and skin. So 5 special senses. So first of all, olfaction, then that is a vision and that is a taste sensation and here is a hearing and equilibrium. So these are a 5 special senses that are present in human being. Now generally the sensibility can be classified into 2 categories: general sensation and special sensation. So there are a certain differences between the general sensation and special sensation and these are already discussed under smell sensation. So in general sensation, its receptors are located throughout the body and its receptors get easily stimulated by different stimuli and the receptors response is non-specific to different stimuli. And in special senses, the receptors are located only at a one place, especially in the head and very close to the nervous system and that are well protected within the skull. And the receptors are specialized and respond only to one type of stimulus. And the receptors response is more complex and makes coordination within the CNS. Now the common chemical sense. So what are the characteristic features of the common chemical sense? So the capacity to respond to surface application of the chemical irritant is called common chemical sense and it contributes to the appreciation of the odor or even in a non-irritant concentration. The excessive stimulation of the common chemical sense that give rise to pain. For example, smell of the vapor of onion or ammonia that consists of two components. First of all, that one is caused by stimulation of the olfactory apparatus and other arises due to irritation properties of their vapors, which stimulate the fifth cranial nerve endings and that producing pain. Now in the term of the threshold concentration of the substances and that are required for the excitation or stimulation, the smell that is the most sensitive chemical sense and the taste that is a intermediate and the common chemical sensibility it is the least sensitive. The sense of the smell and taste mainly concerned with the nutrition and they are closely related to each other. Because the smell producing substances are dispersed in the air, the sense of the smell can give information about the distant objects, whereas the taste that informs only about the substance that are dissolved in the mouth, that are present in the mouth. Now comes to the sensation of the taste. What is the importance of the taste sensation? So the taste that allows the person to separate the undesirable or even a lethal food from the nutritious food. Taste thus determines the quality of the food the person takes. Now usually the food is selected according to the needs of the body. For example, salt depleted or adrenalectomized animals automatically select drinking water with a high concentration of the sodium chloride in preference to pure water, and this is sufficient to supply the need of the body and prevent the salt depletion death. Second, an animal given injection of excessive amount of the insulin that develops a depleted blood sugar. An animal automatically choose the sweetest food from among many samples. Now third, if the calcium depleted parathyroidectomized animals automatically choose drinking water with a high concentration of calcium chloride. So sensation of the taste, that is a chemical sense and that is stimulated by food and drink. And taste must be distinguished from the flavor, which includes the olfactory, tactile and thermal attributes of the food in addition to taste. Now what is the meaning of flavor? So flavor means the complex sensation that consists of taste, odor, roughness or smoothness, hotness or coldness. The receptor for the taste sensation are chemoreceptors and which are stimulated by the substance dissolved in oral fluids. Now, what is the function of saliva in tasting the food, or saliva helps in taste sensation? How? Now, taste, that is a chemical sense. Substance can be tasted only when it is dissolved state, and saliva that acts as a solvent for the taste substances. Now what are the receptor organs for the taste? Where they are situated? The taste or gustatory stimuli are detected by specialized chemoreceptors and that is known as taste receptors or taste cells. The taste receptors are clustered in a taste bud located on the tongue, then palate, pharynx, epiglottis and upper third of esophagus. Now tongue, that is the main site of the taste detection, that contains a numerous taste buds on its dorsal surface. Now the dorsal surface of the tongue that exhibits a numerous papillae, which increases the surface area of the mucosa available for the taste receptors, and the taste buds that are located in the walls of papillae. Now there are four types of the papilla that are located on the tongue: Filiform papilla, Fungiform papilla, circumvallate papilla and foliate papillae. So this is a general arrangement of the papilla on the dorsum of the tongue on which the taste buds are located. So this is a circumvallate papilla, V-shaped. Okay, they are located in a V-shaped, and here this is a foliate papilla and these are fungiform papilla. Now there are three types of the papillae in the tongue, and here in circumvallate papillae taste buds are located, and these are the foliate. Here the taste buds are located, and this is fungiform papillae. In here the taste buds are located. So first of all, filiform papilla. So they are not a gustatory structures and do not contain taste buds. Now these are a small thread-like conical projection. Okay. So these are a small thread-like conical projection covering the entire remaining surface of the dorsum of the anterior two-thirds of the tongue, giving it a velvety appearance. And they are arranged in rows parallel to sulcus terminalis. However, they may play a role in breaking up food particles, so that they are also known as mechanical papillae in contrast to other three forms which are called gustatory papilla. And these pointed thread-like structures contain tactile receptors. Okay, these structures that contain tactile receptors that allow us to experience the food texture and feel, but no taste buds. Then fungiform papillae. So these are bright red flat dot-like structures and each of about 1 mm in diameter, and they are located in the anterior two-thirds of the tongue along the edge and dorsum and tip. They are 8 to 10 taste buds on each papilla, and they are mushroom-like structures. Okay, so fungiform. So fungiform papilla. Now circumvallate papilla. So circumvallate papilla, they are large 2 to 4 mm in diameter and about 10 to 12 in numbers and forming a single row in front of sulcus terminalis. So these are a circumvallate papilla, and sulcus terminalis, that is a V-shaped groove which separates anterior two-thirds of the dorsum of the tongue from the posterior one-third, and each circumvallate papilla that is surrounded by a groove, and about 200 taste buds are located along the sides of each circumvallate papilla, and they are ball-like structures. Then last, foliate papillae. So there are transverse mucosal fold found on the posterolateral surface of the tongue anterior to the circumvallate papillae. And each foliate papilla are leaf-like structures and that has numerous taste bud. Now recent work suggests that papilla and one Ebner's gland Now von Ebner's gland, also known as gustatory glands or serous glands, that secretes saliva into the cleft around the papillae, that forms a functional complex and that is important in actual taste detection because of the enzymes secreted by the gland. Now about the taste bud. So taste buds that are concerned with the sensation of the taste. As mentioned earlier, the taste buds are located on the tongue papilla, hard and soft palate, epiglottis, pharynx and upper third of the esophagus. And what is the structure of taste bud? So each taste bud that is a barrel shaped and cluster of the cells with a small opening that is known as taste pore, and that in the surface that allows the substance to reach the interior of the taste bud, and each taste bud that measures about 50 to 70 micrometer in diameter and that consists of the cells. So first of all, these are the basal cells, okay, and these are supporting cell, and these are all taste receptor cells. So first of all, receptor cells. So each taste bud has about 100 receptor cells and that are a modified epithelial cells, and the receptor cells are elongated, bipolar shaped and extend from the epithelial opening. So they extend from the epithelial opening of the taste bud to its base. Now each taste cells have a short lifespan, about 10 days, and are continuously replaced by new taste cell differentiating from the basal cells. Through the taste pore, the cilia of the all of the taste cell that protrude into the oral cavity and come in contact with the saliva. Now the taste cells that are innervated by sensory neurons, primary gustatory afferent fibers and its basal pole. And each taste nerve fiber innervates the taste cells in several taste buds, and conversely each taste bud is innervated by approximately 50 nerve fibers. Then basal replacement cells. These are small round cells present at the bottom of the taste bud, and they are thought to be stem cells which are continuously being differentiated into taste cells. Then last one is supporting or sustentacular cells. So this is another figure. So these are a basal cell and these are the taste receptor cell and these are the supporting cell. Now innervation. The special sensory nerve fibers innervating the taste cells that come from the branches of the facial 7th and glossopharyngeal 9th and vagus, that is a 10th cranial nerve respectively. Now the tactile and temperature receptors of the mouth, tongue and pharynx that are innervated by the trigeminal nerve, 5th cranial nerve. So these are the taste sensitivity of the tongue. So at the tip of the tongue there is a sensation of the sweet taste, and at the sides there is a salty and sour sensation, and at the back of the tongue there is a bitter taste sensation. So anterior 2/3 of the tongue that is innervated by facial nerve and posterior 1/3 that is innervated by glossopharyngeal nerve. Now how the taste cells are stimulated, or what is the mechanism of stimulation of taste cell? So single taste bud that responds to two or more primary taste stimuli. Application of the taste substance to hair of the taste cell that stimulates it, and the receptor potential is developed. Now then the taste chemical binds with the protein receptor molecule that are present in the membrane of the hair. That opens the ion channel and that allows the entry of the sodium ions to cause the depolarization of the cell. And the taste substance is gradually washed away by the saliva so that the taste stimulus is removed. And the receptor potential is generated in the taste cell that initiates the action potential in the nerve fibers supplying the taste cells. Taste pathway. So taste pathway that consists of three order of neurons. First order neuron. So cell body of the first order neurons innervating the taste cells in the taste bud that are located in the different ganglia of the 7th, 9th and 10th cranial nerves. So first of all, first order neuron from the taste buds located on the anterior two-thirds of the tongue. The taste fibers that run in the lingual nerve. So here. So, 5 taste fibers that run in the lingual nerve which branches from the coda tympani nerve which is a branch of facial nerve, and the cell body that are located in the geniculate ganglion. From the taste buds located on the posterior one-third of the tongue, the taste fibers run in the glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay, posterior one-third. So the taste fibers that run in the glossopharyngeal nerve and the cell body lie in the superior and inferior ganglia of this nerve. And from the taste buds located on the pharyngeal aspect of the tongue, epiglottis, hard and soft palate, the taste fibers that run in the vagus nerve. And the cell body that are located in the superior and inferior ganglia of vagus nerve. So, first order neuron that are from taste fibers run through 7th, 9th and 10th cranial nerve. Now termination of the first order neuron. So ultimately all the taste fibers traveling in the different cranial nerves join the tractus solitarius. Here they join the tractus solitarius to terminate in the nucleus of tractus solitarius. Now second order neuron. So cell body of the second order neuron of the taste pathway that are located in the nucleus of tractus solitarius in the medulla. Now axon of the second order neuron that cross the midline. This one is the midline. So they cross the midline to join the medial lemniscus. Okay, here and terminate with the fifth cranial nerve fibers. Now fifth cranial nerve fibers that carrying a pain, touch and temperature fibers. So axon of the second order neuron, they cross the midline and terminate with the fifth cranial nerve fibers in the ventral posterior medial nucleus of thalamus. So they terminate in the thalamus, ventral posterior medial nucleus of thalamus. Now third order neuron. So the cell body of the third order neurons are located in the ventral posterior medial nucleus of thalamus, and from the thalamus the impulse passes to the lower tip of the postcentral gyrus in the parietal cortex adjacent to opercular insular area and in the syllabian fissure. And this lies lateral and ventral to the somatic sensory area for the tongue. So here third order neuron arises from the ventral posterior medial nucleus of the thalamus and they end in the gustatory cortex. Now types of the stimuli and most sensitive area of the tongue. Now the taste buds that containing a taste receptors that are concerned with the perception and sensation of the taste. In humans, the taste buds are located in four types of the gustatory papilla. Now adults have about 3000 to 10,000 taste buds and children have few more taste buds. Now beyond the age of the 45 years, many taste buds degenerate and that causing a taste sensitivity to decrease in old age. So in old age, the taste sensation deteriorates or decreases. Taste receptor cells have a lifespan of about 10 days. Like the olfactory receptors, they degenerate and are continuously replenished by new receptor cells from the basal cells. Now in this process, the synaptic connection of the old cells also degenerate and the new ones are formed. Now it has been observed that the sectioning of the afferent nerve fiber that leads to degeneration of the taste bud. And when the nerve regenerates, the new taste buds are formed near the nerve endings. And it is believed that the nerve terminals release the growth factor and exerts a tropic effect on the taste buds. Now, which are the taste reflexes that are integrated in the brainstem? Now from the tractus solitarius, many taste signals are transmitted within the brainstem itself directly into the superior and inferior salivatory nuclei. And these areas that transmit the signals to the submandibular, sublingual and parotid glands to help the control the secretion of the saliva during the ingestion and digestion of the food.